Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's Booster Course Pass might just be the best DLC that any game has received on the Switch. I think I personally prefer Smash Ultimate's Fighters Passes a smidge more, only because they added Minecraft Steve, but the Booster Course Pass is definitely a close second. Actually, the Fighters Pass also added Min Min, so never mind, it sucks. By the end of this DLC, the track count to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe will be doubled from 48 to 96 total. While the quality of these tracks graphically may not be on the level of the original 8, the layouts are just as fun as ever, and the graphics have certainly been improving over time as well. As of writing this, we are on wave 4, meaning there are still 16 more tracks set to release before Mario Kart 8 Deluxe comes to an end. But will it really? We all know Mario Kart 8 is immortal. I mean, turn that 8 on its side and what do you get? Infinity. So my question for today is, will there be more DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe after the Booster Course Pass? If it seems likely that there will be more DLC, what could it be? That's what I plan to cover in this video today. Obviously, there's no way to tell for sure, but this will be my best guess as to what Nintendo might do. If you enjoy this more speculative video, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Let's jump right into our first piece of possible evidence. The first thing I want to take a look at has to do with the other DLC I mentioned at the start of this video, that being the Smash Bros. Ultimate Fighters Passes. Notice that this is plural because we actually got 2 of them, one containing Joker, Hero, Banjo, Terry, and Byleth, and a second containing Min Min, Steve, Sephiroth, Pythra, Kazuya, and Sora. And the most interesting thing about these 2 packs for the purposes of this video has to do with the fact that Fighters Pass 2 was not originally announced until well into Fighters Pass 1.
There's 5 more?! 4 more?!
It was only told to us we'd be getting more fighters after Terry's reveal, which may I remind you was the second to last character in the first wave. So what does that have to do with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? Well, this more so just shows that it's still more than possible to get another DLC announcement here soon. As far as I could tell, there have been no definitive statements by Nintendo saying that this would be the last DLC for the game. I mean, if there were, I wouldn't be making this video. Since we have 2 more waves to go, I'm gonna guess we get an announcement of more DLC during the showcase of Wave 5, whenever that may be. If we don't have any news by then, I think the likelihood of another DLC coming will take a significant hit. However, since we haven't gotten to that point just yet, I think there's definitely still a solid chance. Now I want to take a look at why Nintendo would even want to make more DLC for this game. Have you seen how much money it's made? I mean, seriously, this is the 6th best-selling game ever. Not just a Nintendo game, but the 6th best-selling game overall. It's only getting beat out by PUBG, Wii Sports, Tetris, GTA 5, and Minecraft. It has over 60 million sales, and that number is growing every single day. With an audience as large as that, it makes total sense to me that Nintendo would want to keep creating content to make even more money. However, if you know anything about Nintendo, it's likely that they don't make sense. I mean, let's take a look at the Switch's second best-selling game, Animal Crossing New Horizons. Despite selling over 40 million copies, Nintendo is already done with that game. And that really sucks, considering Animal Crossing New Horizons is lacking in a lot of aspects, but that's a story for a different day. I do still think the high sales of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe make it more than likely to get DLC, but New Horizons does sadly show that it's far from a guarantee. Speaking of Animal Crossing New Horizons, there is something that its paid DLC has in connection with the Booster Course Pass. Both DLC, along with the Octo expansion for Splatoon 2, actually come packaged with the Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pass. So as long as you are paying for the service, you'll have access to the DLC without any additional cost. Why do I bring this up? Well, the fact that the Booster Course Pass is packaged with the Expansion Pass makes me somewhat hesitant in believing there will be more DLC. Controversial take incoming, but I honestly think the amount of content in the Expansion Pass is pretty solid for the price it is right now. I think they should probably throw on GameCube games too, but besides that, I'm not really sure if I foresee any more DLC being thrown in. Now, of course, they could make more DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe without the expansion pass, but it may come off as a bit weird to have only one piece of DLC included, whereas the other isn't. There's also a chance that the possible future DLC isn't paid, but I'll get to that when I talk about what could possibly make up a secondary bit of DLC. Okay, minor warning for this segment, but I'll be discussing a leak regarding the Booster Course Pass. Jump to the timestamp on screen if you want to stay completely spoiler-free. Trust me, I wanted to too, but some people mentioned what I'm about to say to me, and I basically just broke down into tears. This point is actually what inspired me to make this video in the first place, though. Recently in Wave 4, we got the track Mario Circuit DS, which I'm definitely very happy about. What stung most of all about this track has to do with the Mario Kart game it comes from, being Mario Kart DS. This game has some of the absolute best original tracks in the franchise, many of which are still not in 8 Deluxe. Some examples of which are Delfino Square, Luigi's Mansion, and Airship Fortress. In fact, Airship Fortress is the track that I wanted to come to the Booster Course Pass the most, aside from a few others like 3DS Rainbow Road and Waluigi Pinball, which were already added. Well, whatever, while the addition of Mario Circuit DS was a bit of a disappointment, at least we still got 2 more waves for Airship Fortress to make a comeback. Yeah, so according to the leak, Mario Circuit DS is the final DS track in the Booster Course Pass. We don't know what the other 16 tracks are going to be aside from the games they're from, but we do know that DS is apparently no longer on that list. Now call this a cope, but there still is a chance that that information changes. Yeah, that's a massive cope. Well, okay, my heart got broken, so what? I mean, this video is about if we can get more DLC, not complaining about Mario Circuit DS. Well, one reason I was so hopeful that we would see Airship Fortress is because it was added to Mario Kart Tour. As most of us know by now, the Booster Course Pass is heavily based on Tour. I'm pretty sure only Yoshi's Island isn't in Tour already, but it's likely coming very soon. So if there are truly no more Mario Kart DS tracks coming in the DLC, that will mean not all of the tracks in Tour would have been brought over to 8 Deluxe, meaning that there is still content from that game that could be brought over. Is this the strongest piece of evidence? No, not really, but it's certainly something to consider. But now that we've looked at all these points showing we could get DLC, I now want to shift over to what that DLC might possibly be. Welcome back, people that use the timestamp. They don't know what we talked about, what a bunch of losers. Well, we're now on to talking about what might make up the DLC, starting with the tracks. Mario Kart Tour still has plenty to choose from. Even without information from the leak, it's obvious that the total number of Tour tracks is too high for the amount of tracks being added in the pass. Now, these are obviously the most popular aspect of the Mario Kart series, so they're the go-to when talking about possible new additions, but I honestly don't think they'll add more after the Booster Course Pass. There's certainly still a chance, but a track count of 96 seems like more than enough. I mean, I thought 48 was a lot before this DLC, so they just blew that out of the water. Now, I am personally of the mindset of generally the more content the better, but I know a lot of people aren't, so Nintendo may not want to keep adding more tracks. Plus, if this secondary Booster Course Pass wasn't included in the expansion pass, I'm sure a large amount of people would just skip out on it since most would be satisfied with 96. On top of that, most fan favorite retro tracks have already come back in the Booster Course Pass. Coconut Mall, Waluigi Pinball, 3DS Rainbow Road are such massive hitters that almost anything they can include in a secondary pass would pale in comparison. If they do release another set of tracks, I think it'll have a much stronger focus on original tracks like Yoshi's Island. At this point of the pass, they're some of the most exciting additions. I mean, Yoshi's Island is one of my favorite tracks of all time, so they definitely could develop more bangers just like it. I personally think that Nintendo will just skip out on tracks though, due to how many were in the first pass, but there's still certainly a possibility that more will come. Now, the Booster Course Pass hasn't just been tracks, as Wave 4 introduced a brand new element, brand new characters. So far we only got Birdo, but we know that there will be 5 more before the Booster Course Pass ends. Well, actually, I guess we don't know if these are part of the Booster Course Pass or not, but I think it's fairly safe to say they will be. Now, I made the prediction that these 5 characters would be Pauline, Diddy Kong, Funky Kong, Kamek, and Rob, but I'm a complete idiot and forgot PD Piranha existed, so... Now, the reason that I predicted these 5 have to do with 2 things. 1, they're extremely popular, and 2, they're all in Tour. Like I said before, Tour is one of the main contributors to this DLC even existing at all, so content from there is what should be looked at if we want to figure out what future DLC could be. Besides the 5 characters I mentioned, the other missing Tour characters are Hammer Bro, Monty Mole, Dixie Kong, Nabbit, King Bomb, Donkey Kong Jr., and Charge and Chuck. While definitely not as popular as the 5 I mentioned before, these characters still certainly have the chance to join as playable characters. I mean, if Fire Piranha Plant can justify joining Tennis Aces as DLC, then really anyone could join. There's just one problem I think may cause some issues for characters being DLC, and that is that I don't think Nintendo would sell them by themselves. Even in the original Mario Kart 8, the DLC characters were included with the tracks. Mario Kart characters have a lot less depth than Smash Bros characters, for example, so I think Nintendo is unlikely to sell them without any content alongside them. I also don't think Nintendo would do it for free either. It'd be weird to add some characters into the game for free, but then have the set of 6 we're getting with the Booster Course Pass require money. So if we are going to get more characters after the Booster Course Pass, I think it will only happen if attached to something else. With that said though, if we do get something else, I feel like characters are a no-brainer to throw in, as they would definitely boost excitement for whatever Nintendo decides to do next. One character-related thing I think Nintendo might do for free is adding in costumes for characters. Besides just the large roster of newcomers, Tour is also known for its large amount of costumes for each of its characters. These are really cool too, like Gold Drybones for Smash, Wedding Mario, Luigi's Mansion King Boo, SNES Mario, Rosalina Chef. Okay, not all of them are bangers. These costumes are in stark contrast to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which barely have any costumes for its characters. The only ones that do are Yoshi, Shy Guy, Inkling Girl, Inkling Boy, Metal Mario, Link, and Birdo. Even some super obvious characters like Toad, for some reason, don't have extra colors. Wait, the standard Toad doesn't have different colors in Tour either? What? Well, I think updates would be a perfect way for Nintendo to drop in some more costumes for characters already on the roster. They can be as simple as color swaps or entire outfit changes similar to the ones in Tour. Considering we got Link's Breath of the Wild costume in a free post-launch update, I could definitely see Nintendo randomly adding in some costumes for a character or two. Heck, as far as we know, this may even get added during the Booster Course Pass. In fact, I think character costumes are the single most likely piece of additional DLC we could see. They're simple enough to be added in for free, but at the same time would be exciting enough to get people interested. I personally would love a new skin for Drybones, so if Nintendo wants to keep the game going after the Booster Course Pass, this could be a fairly simple way to do it. Okay, let's go over something I don't think we'll see in the DLC, new kart parts. I think most everyone has kinda gotten over the whole kart design gimmick and everyone already has their preferred kart setup. I'm personally a Bitty Buggy fan myself. While kart parts did come in the first game's DLC and a few got added in alongside with Breath of the Wild Link, it just seems like something not really worth Nintendo's time. Actually, you know what, while I was typing this, I have entirely changed my mind, but I don't feel like erasing the last few sentences. I do think we'll get at least one kart part, the Flame Runner bike. I already said Funky Kong is very likely to be added back in as a character, but what about his signature bike? This would probably come with the Booster Course Pass instead of being after the fact, but I do actually think there's a decent chance it could happen. Otherwise, no, I don't really think kart parts are gonna come over. But now it's time we talk about the one thing that I think might just be the most likely to get updated in the future, besides maybe character costumes. The Booster Course Pass is almost entirely focused on the racing mode with the exception of the new characters. By the end, there will be a massive 96 tracks in this game to play on, making the racing mode feel almost endless in content. But it sure makes the battle mode look lame in comparison. It seems like almost no one is talking about battle mode anymore, and I think a large reason that is because it has so much less content compared to the main game. I mean, battle mode is supposed to be the other half of the series next to the racing, but the attention it's received is tiny in comparison. That's not to say Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's battle mode is bad, by the way. In fact, I think it's fantastic. After being revived from whatever that garbage was on the Wii U, it's become a pretty fun mode to play once racing gets a bit boring. There's a whole 5 different battle modes, being Balloon Battle, Coin Runners, Bomb Blast, Shine Thief, and Renegade Roundup. This count of battle modes is perfect, a nice variety, and while the rules could use some updating, the amount of modes is certainly not a problem. The courses though, yeah, this is pretty weak. There are only 8 battle tracks, which isn't even the most in the franchise. Mario Kart Wii had a total of 10, so the fact that 8 Deluxe has less than that seems like a massive oversight. If Nintendo were to do more DLC for this game, I think it would be to finally make battle mode the undisputed best in the series. There are plenty of fan favorite battle courses like Block Fort and Pipe Plaza that they could add to get people, including myself, very excited. Now for what I can tell, Tour doesn't have a lot of battle courses in the game, but I think this would be much easier to develop than whole new racetracks anyway, so maybe they could just not go through Tour this time. Battle mode is pretty much the only aspect of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe that feels like it could use improving, because as it is right now, the 8 courses we have can get pretty repetitive. So if Nintendo does decide to make more DLC after the Booster Course Pass, I really hope that they decide to add more to the battle mode. But anyways, that's it for this video. Do you want Nintendo to add a 25cc speed class because 50cc is just too hard for you? Let me know in the comments. I know that this video is much shorter than my normal outputs, but I needed to get a bit of a quicker video out since I've had a lot of work lately. I got a bunch of other videos planned for these upcoming weeks though, so stay tuned for those. But anyways, dry bones for Smash, and I'll see you guys next time.